welcome to First Coffee and Then Hockey. I'm Andrea Shaner, Participation and Membership Coordinator right here at Hockey Queensland. In our short snack bite segments, we're going to be giving you the answers to your questions to help your association or club stay on top and, of course, continue to grow. Today's topic, well, volunteering. National Volunteer Week is coming up, and there's many of you that have asked, well, how can we make it easier for parents and, of course, hockey lovers alike to jump on board and help? Plus, how can we actually go about and retain and keep those volunteers? Well, we are very, very lucky today because we have Chris Kenward, and he is from the CPR group. And of course, the CPR group helps clubs and organizations across Australia by giving them tools to help with governance, operations, and so much more. And Chris, in particular, has expertise in that club governance and community engagement. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Chris. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm looking forward to my coffee cup coming, Andrea.
I was going to say, we've got these coming. They're on order, I promise.
Okay, I told you to buy the coffee. Sounds good.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We may have to provide our own coffee, but I will get you the mug for sure.
That's a good deal. I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Yes. So like I said, we're actually talking about volunteering today. I've gotten a lot of questions for our associations and clubs just asking about, well, how can we get volunteers in the door? So first off, I just want to ask you, Chris, because I know you have, lots of expertise in this area. What makes volunteers so essential to the success and just the culture of our hockey clubs?
Clubs can't run without them, Andrew. I think it's as straightforward as that. We are in a situation where, whilst we're seeing declining volunteering members at many clubs and indeed across society, they're still absolutely essential to the operation and the running of our successful community sports clubs, including your hockey clubs. So in most cases, they simply will not run without volunteers. And if we want our kids and our young adults, or indeed our older adults, to have the experience of playing sport and staying healthy and fit, then we need volunteers to make that happen.
Yeah, so kind of touching on that a little bit, why do you think people are actually hesitating to volunteer, even if they maybe love the sport or even have kids that are actually involved in the sport?
I think, firstly, societal pressures. I think that's a fact we can't deny. But I think often at the sort of club level, it's just uncertainty and a lack of confidence about what is being asked of them. I think most people intrinsically want to help and are very happy to contribute and do something. But when they're not sure what that something is, what it may entail, what it may lead to, how much time it may take, what responsibilities may come with that, I think they get a little nervous, and it's a lot easier just to go, oh no, I'm busy, I can't. Whereas if they had some of that information, and we can maybe talk about some of that stuff as we go, I think they're more inclined to say yes. People want to say yes. They want to help, but they're just a little fearful, I think.
Yeah, so kind of, I guess, going to off of that angle, what can actually make a club, quote, an easy to volunteer for a club? Like, what does that look like? Or how can a club put that into practice? I know there are a lot of different tips and tricks, and it could even be something as simple as creating a definition for what these roles are.
Yeah, it could be. So a lot of the things that we ask by clubs to help with have some straightforward answers. Is my constitution up to date? Are we making enough money? Those sorts of things. We find with volunteering, there's no silver bullet. It really is trying to create a culture where volunteering is the norm at your club. Okay, and that doesn't happen overnight. So there are a number of things that we find can lead to that environment. So there's an expectation that everyone just chips in and it becomes a community of volunteers. And that might start with the president or the leader of the club or some of the committee members taking time every Saturday or whenever your fixtures are, not working in the canteen, not mowing the lawns, not doing the other things that you have to do, just going around, chatting to the parents, the players, the members, and just making friends. Just saying, "G'day, I'm president. How you going? How's your child enjoying the club? How are you enjoying your experience? What's happening?" Don't ask them to volunteer. Just make friends. And do that, and the other committees do that, and other committee members do that. And over time, when something does need doing, and you've talked to that people for the last 3 Saturdays, you can go up to them and say, "Hey, how you going? Can you just give me a hand for 5 minutes? Just need to put some corner flags up. Just need to do this. Just need to get the equipment out." And because you've formed a bit of a relationship with them, they are far more likely to say yes. And then they're on their way.
Yeah, so it sounds like just having a relationship and just even asking for those simple things can definitely be, a huge part of being able to invite those people in and make it, as I like to kind of say, a family friendly club.
Yeah, but let me maybe put it another way for you, Andrew. So if you go up to somebody in the street and say, "Can you help me?" they may well say
Right.
no. Okay, but if you go up to somebody who's your friend, even if it's only through a few little coffee Saturday morning chats for the last few weeks, much harder for them to say no, much more inclined to say yes, and then they're on their way. Now you can support that with a bunch of other things, so it's cultural as I've described, but it's also, I feel, if there's a more formal role, is there a position description? Can you say to that person, "I need your help for 5 minutes to do this," rather than, "Can you come and be on the committee?" No, I don't want to do that. That's way too much. Thank you very much. But if you've got position descriptions that include like a really simple description, a really simple understanding of the time commitment that may be involved, a really simple thing about this person will be helping you, here's your mentor, your guide, or whatever, just very, very simple things, then they can also support and overcome that uncertainty that people have. Oh, well, I only want 10 minutes. You only want 10 minutes a week of my time. I can give you that. But I can't be on the committee. I can't do that big thing. And that's what you want, get people on their way.
Yeah, I mean, even like on a personal level, just last weekend, I had somebody come up to me. They needed someone to record video for my son's hockey game. It was a simple time commitment of me sitting there with my phone, live streaming it, for the club to have that option to go back and look at the video. So I'm really keen on little things like that. So I guess that brings me to another point, or what are some low barrier volunteer roles that something like this, that people can get started doing?
Yeah. I'll use my personal experience. I'm a football soccer person, and I used to be involved in a club local to me. And I would get up early in the morning and to run the under sixes, which I was coach of, and I would get the goals out, and I would put the corner posts up, and I would put the nets up. And the first time I was there, a couple of the mums and dads were dropping their kids off, and I said, "Can you come and help? Can you please come and help?" And within 3 weeks, they were going to the store cupboard, having got to the club 10 minutes earlier themselves, and getting the goals and the posts and nets up. I wasn't doing any of that anymore because they were doing it. They wanted to help. I'd ask them, and it was a simple micro task. It was 15 minutes when they were waiting around anyway because their kids' game was about to start, so they had time. And that's another thing that we can do is there's a difference between asking a volunteer to commit time maybe outside of game day for their child, but if they're at the facility already, they're at the club, they're at the field, find things for them to do while they're there, possibly kicking their heels, and that will lead to more volunteering activity from them in the future. Another example we had as a club we worked with where the treasurer was struggling to bank the cash on a Monday morning. This is a long time ago. We had this thing called cash. And every Monday they would go and have to bank the money, and they found it difficult. Yeah. So they got the assistant treasurer to come in, and all they had to do was bank the money on a Monday. That's all the assistant treasurer had to do. And it took them 20 minutes. They were in town anyway, no problem. Within 3 years, the assistant treasurer was the treasurer. They just stepped up and stepped up and stepped up because they overcome that initial uncertainty, and they were in and they were on their way.
Yeah. Also, too, another thing I think volunteers think when they come to a club is it's basically for them going to be another full-time job for them. And while some people embrace that, we know other people don't. So how important is it for a club to maybe have quote unquote flexible roles? How important is flexibility?
Hugely important. Hugely important. The C word, the committee word, is sometimes a dirty word, so we have to be careful when we use it. But most clubs have the opportunity in their constitutions to set up subcommittees or working groups or project teams, call them what you will. And that can be one person. So a classic example is, can you look after some of our social media posts for us, okay? You can do that as a volunteer any time of the week that it suits you. If the kids are in bed at 9 o'clock at night and you want to post a couple of things for the club, you can do it then. So you can fit it into your routine. It's flexible. And those sorts of jobs, many of those jobs are available, and it just takes the flexibility of having a subcommittee set up or a non-formal committee role to do this. Yes, you probably want to meet once a month as a committee, but that can be a small group of people. You don't need all these other volunteers involved in that if they don't want to be, but they can make a significant contribution just by being the social media person on Thursday night or whatever else that might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that's really good, I think, for people to know to play into are people's strengths, right? So you were talking about you had a treasurer. Well, maybe they were an accountant. So talk about just also the importance of maybe tapping into people's strengths, or maybe, taking notice of maybe what people do.
Yeah, in the good old days, I'm giving my age away here, not it's obvious, but we used to have a thing called sign-on day, right? And the sign-over, you come on a Saturday morning at the start of the season and sign the kids up and pay their money and everything. And at that point, the club I was involved in, we'd always ask what mum and dad did for a living, because if there's an electrician or an accountant or whatever, it's good to know that. We can maybe ask for those favours later. That doesn't always happen now. But going back to what I said earlier, if the president and the vice president are walking around the field on Saturday morning, having those chats and a cup of coffee with some parents, and what do you do? What do you do for a living? Find out who those people are that can help. And again, as I said, don't ask them instantly to come and volunteer, but just, okay, make a note. Yes, so-and-so's mum is this, and so-and-so's dad is an electrician, or whatever it might be. And then people will be much more likely to volunteer in those roles that they're comfortable with. Ask the electrician to change a bulb for you, or know what they're doing. So that's really important. The other thing is, when you've got people volunteering, check in with them again. Make sure that they are happy in what they're doing, because if they're not, they won't last long. They'll soon find an excuse, can't make it this week, sorry, something else on. But if somebody loves being in the canteen and cooking chips, let them be in the canteen and cooking chips. But a lot of it really is just about talking to people and making sure that that they are happy in what they're doing. If I can keep talking, and my apologies for this, but to add to that, nobody volunteers to clean the toilets, right? So see if the club can pay somebody to clean the toilets and do those jobs that no one wants to do. There's no reason why we can't have a club full of happy volunteers, and the jobs that no one wants to do are subcontracted off, paid for. Yep, you might have to build that into your fees and your budget, but if you're looking for a volunteer to literally clean the toilets, you're not going to get one who's going to do it happily for very long. So recognize that, pay someone to do that, and get the volunteers doing the stuff they want to do.
Yeah, and also we know, happy volunteers make a happy club. So what are some things that clubs can do to recognize, these volunteers and these members?
Yeah, we get asked that quite a lot, and I actually, I think most volunteering and the motivation for volunteering is intrinsic, and often I don't think it needs any great reward other than a thank you and some recognition of appreciation. So we've got clubs that give volunteer of the month awards. Well, if you've got 50 volunteers and one person wins it once a month, you've got 49 unhappy volunteers. So don't do that, or at least think about that before you do it, right? But simply saying thank you and making sure you say thank you, and again, this can be part of the president's walk around every Saturday morning or whenever your fixtures are, it's probably sufficient for most people. Put a post up on your social media. Hey, look, here's so-and-so cooking chips with a big smile on their face. That kind of stuff is sufficient in most cases, and actually it helps to build the culture that we talked about at the start in terms of having a club where people all volunteer. So celebrate the volunteers, thank the volunteers. I'm not sure that in most cases any further reward is necessary.
Yeah. And also too, right. Exactly. And then also too, with National Volunteer Week coming up, in my opinion, that's the perfect, springboard to maybe gain momentum, for the rest of the season. So what are some things that people can use this week, and how can they use it effectively?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity to get out in the socials and put things around the club and talk to people about it and have the conversation, in terms of, we've got clubs, for example, where we've recommended, and they've done this, every committee member has a big polo shirt on, and it says volunteer in huge letters across the back, all right? Not a secretly hiding under the bushel. I'm a volunteer.
But really big on the back, yeah.
Exactly. So be proud of being volunteers, but make it clear to everybody that the club is a volunteer-run club, that you're not on scale to afford lots of paid staff, and that the experience that they and their family will have at your club will improve if everybody does a little bit. So I think that the National Volunteer Week is a great opportunity to start having those conversations, to promote that, and use it as a conversation starter.
Yeah, conversation starters, as I like to say, they're always key for sure. And also, finally, I just want to know, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe thinking about volunteering, but maybe just hasn't taken the leap yet?
pluck up the courage, get out there and say, what can I do? Seriously, what can you do?
Simple as that, right?
Yeah. Let me add something else, maybe, if I may. What we see in a lot of clubs is that we have one or two people who do everything. Often the president, who's walking around doing 6 different jobs with a broom at their bum, sweeping the floor at the same time, metaphorically, right?
Yeah. I feel like we definitely have clubs and associations here at Hockey Queensland that know that very well.
Right. Okay. And every sport we work with has that. So there's no difference here. And that's wonderful. Those people are just absolutely committed and they're wonderful volunteers and we should be grateful for them. But unfortunately, in many ways, they're setting a bad example because what they're doing is they're giving the impression to non-volunteers that is what a volunteer looks like. And I can't do all that. So I'm not going to go. So we need to try and find a way to separate some of those duties that dominant or that very committed volunteer is performing, break them down and make it such that they're not doing all those things and everybody at the club can see lots of people doing little things and it makes it more easy for them to step up and go, well, I can do a little thing. I can get the goals out for the kids. I can get the sticks put away, whatever it might be. So I think that's it. But yeah, if you'll enjoy it. If you're a volunteer, get out there and enjoy it. It's satisfying. It makes you feel good. It fills up your soul, and it will make your club better for you and your kids, your family. So you'll contribute in a meaningful way.
Yeah. No. Well, I think that is a great way to end our segment, our first coffee then hockey. Chris, I just want to know really quick if people are interested or have more questions or want to get in touch with you, what is the easiest way for them to do that?
Well, we're on the website, cprgroup.com.au. I can certainly be contacted. I don't know if we can put information out with this, Andrew. You might need to edit this bit, but email addresses, phone numbers, just get in touch. Absolutely. And we're always happy to help, not just on volunteering, but the whole aspects of running your club successfully. So, yeah, chris@cprgroup.com.au.
That was First Coffee, then Hockey. And of course, you can also go to hockeyqld.com.au for more information as well. Thanks again, Chris, for joining us this morning.
You're most welcome. It was fun. Good luck, everybody. Get out there and volunteer.
That's right.